Hello, growers. Say goodbye to heavy sandbags and hello to modern growers' quick hoops low tunnels. Protect your plants from pests, wind, rain, and frost without the hassle of sandbags or flimsy hoops. Our patented design eliminates the need for clamps and ropes, while the unique wire system keeps covers secure yet easily accessible. Tested in the strong winds of New Zealand for over 20 years, quick hoops are light, strong, portable, and versatile. Most importantly, they're designed for field use. These aren't some lightweight system that only looks great in a greenhouse. Our hoops are designed to last in harsh field conditions. Use them with any covering to grow year-round and safeguard your crops. Shade cloth, frost blanket, insect net, clear poly, no problem. Quick Hoops can handle them. Get Quick Hoops today at shop.moderngrower.co and protect your crops for years to come.
The most important tool and strategy on my farm to help me with winter growing is definitely the tunnels. And if you have questions about types of tunnels, sizes, all the things you would want to consider with tunnels, go check out my last module, Module 8. It's all about tunnels. But I'm going to talk specifically about what I have here, which is these 14 by 100 foot Gothic Pro Caterpillar tunnels from Farmer's Friend. I love them. I think a lot of people either have them or are considering these kinds of tunnels because they're inexpensive, cheap to set up, and allow a lot of flexibility. Now, you can get away with a lot of winter growing with row cover and low tunnels like I mentioned previously, but these allow me to do it way quicker with less time input, and also I think give a much more consistent environment for the crops. As I said, it's way faster because I don't have to deal with row cover as much, and I can open and close the tunnels pretty quickly, either the ends or the ends and the sidewalls. So that makes it super easy to cool it off in there versus messing with a whole bunch of row cover, and I don't have to worry about keeping the weight on the row cover and it ripping and all that kind of stuff. Now, one thing is you have a lot more flexibility as well because you can add additional row cover on the beds inside the tunnel, and that'll give you even more protection. So generally, if I see the lows are getting down to about 28 or 30 degrees Fahrenheit, I'll just close up the tunnels and be fine. Now, if I see it getting colder than like 26, so like down in the low 20s, which is kind of the coldest it gets here, is around 20 or so at night, and it's usually for not that many hours during the evening, then I'll put row cover on the beds inside the tunnel, and that gives me even more protection from the cold. Now, this system of row cover inside of a tunnel was, as far as I'm concerned, spearheaded by Elliot Coleman, who's in Maine, who did a whole book about winter growing and helped us a lot as growers with a lot of this kind of stuff. So what that does is it allows you to have even more protection. And the way I think about it usually is like, if you have a tunnel, it adds a zone onto where you are. And if you add row cover and a tunnel, then you are on like 2 more zones. So I'm in zone 7B, I'd be in like zone 9 essentially if I had row cover on inside the tunnel. So that's a great way to do that. Also, having the row cover on inside the tunnels, I don't really have to worry about weighing them down and stuff because there's no wind in there and they don't really blow around. Now, the biggest thing with the tunnels is maintaining temperature. And so what you have to realize is because these are not heated, right, you have to maintain the temperature by opening and closing the tunnels. And if you know that if the temperature is going to drop below freezing in the evening, make sure you close up your tunnels in the afternoon while the sun is still hitting the tunnels. And what that does is it allows the tunnels to trap as much heat and heat up the soil as much as possible. So when the temperatures drop overnight, there'll be a lot more heat in the ground and in the tunnel and allow the crops to be a lot happier. Now, the low temperature is one thing to keep in mind, but you also want to think about how long it's going to be at that temperature. So if it's going to get down to 25 degrees, is it 25 degrees for 8 hours or for like 2 hours? Those are the kinds of things you have to worry about and the consistency of those. So if you have one cold night versus several cold nights, the several cold nights are going to have a bigger impact on the crops than just one cold night. So if you have a little bit of a frost and the crops struggle a little bit, but they rebound, it's going to be different than if you have a long streak of them. Now, in terms of heating of tunnels, this is something that you need to think about because I don't do it, but there is a significant cost in terms of equipment, but also in terms of the energy, if it's gas or electric or whatever. For me, it's not worth it. Also, these tunnels aren't really designed for heating, with being single walled and very not super sealed. So if you are thinking about heating your tunnel and you have a greenhouse where you have that kind of setup, think about the cost because it can get pretty pricey. One thing you can do is if you are, let's say, pushing tomatoes early, like late winter into early spring, and you want to heat the tunnel to get the tomatoes going so you get to market quicker, you can offset the cost of heating by interplanting and planting other things next to the tomatoes, cropping those out and having those crops sort of pay for the heat to get your tomatoes out earlier. So there's a lot of options out there, but generally speaking, I think for me here, heating is not something I really can even think about. It works really well with just the tunnel and the row cover.
Hello, growers. If you enjoy podcasts like this one, tune into my podcast In Search of Soil on YouTube for a deep dive into the mysteries beneath our feet. Join me as I explore topics such as mycorrhizal fungi, mushrooms, compost, biochar, and more. It's a soil nerd's dream. We're going deep. We're talking to scientists about all things soil related. Whether you're a seasoned farmer or a gardener just starting out, our podcast has something for everyone. Listen in and grow with us. Check out In Search of Soil on YouTube.